Hey, what's happening out there? This is Halftime Prep Talk. HTPT is coming at you from Fairview, where the Eagles are going to host Lawrence County on Friday night. The Eagles are 1-1. We have Zack Klemme. I'm Aaron Snyder. Matthew Sparks is not with us today. He got sick this week. Let's wish him a speedy recovery.
That's right.
All right.
We got his game ball, though. We're ready to
We
go
do have his game ball, yeah. So he's still kind of here, right?
Yes.
Fairview is off to a pretty decent start. Much to some people's surprise, I think. 46-6 victory over Bath County to start off the year. Very competitive against Hazard. And I think I found the secret. I was at Clark's Pump and Shop in Westwood the other day, and I saw Surge. I opened up the Gatorade, and then something caught my eye over here in the corner. And I'm like, I haven't seen a can of Surge.
I was going to say, it's that fluorescent green and orange.
I know.
It's kind of hard not to see.
I haven't seen
that's
that in
good
a long
marketing
time.
on their part.
So Clark's Pump and Shop in Westwood has Surge, and I think Fairview Eagles are loading up on it, and that's why they have so much energy.
Might as well be. There you go.
Check out the Chick-fil-A ticker. We have a recap of last weekend's games, as well as a look ahead to this weekend's games. And there's some pretty good games on the docket. We're going to go down and talk about those here in just a little bit. We will have guests on today from Fairview, Coach Fred Ray and lineman Bobby Miller. And you know what happens when you're an HTPT guest?
You get free chicken?
Yes! And you score touchdowns.
Oh.
Touchdowns, that's what happens.
So they might run a little fumble-rooski action this week then. I like it.
Just like this score right here that Matthew Sparks captured with his phone. Cade Warnick, who was just on the show last week,
right.
Greenup County senior, had a touchdown to open up that game. You covered that game, Zach, at backyard brawl there at Greenup County. Cade Warnick had the score to give Greenup County a 6-0 lead. And then you could see right here Austin Smith hooking up with Landon Brewer for Russell. Russell, that was a game time touchdown, and then the extra point by Sam Ewing put him ahead. So a lot of good games last weekend, but that might have been the best.
Well, it's one of those games that it's not going to be it's not going to show up on any offensive highlight reels necessarily, but as far as the intensity goes, always a big game down there for those guys. It's a great way really to start off the season if you're Russell. It's a non-district game, but it's a big rivalry, and the intensity gives them an opportunity to play, especially the young guys who haven't played before, in a game of that magnitude. Right off the bat kind of sets the tone for their season, and Russell gets a big win there. Greenup is one of those things where the last 3 years they've just had, not only against Russell, specifically against Russell, but also against some other guys, just come so close to just huge momentum building wins for their program, and just they seem to not quite be able to get it done there at the end. Of course, they did win a playoff game last year, but they keep looking for that really big signature victory, and if they keep playing like that, they will break the door down at some point, but they've just got to be tired of hearing that at this point, next time. So they're certainly hungry going into this week.
Well, let's see if either of those teams crack our three-point stance. But first, we have game balls.
Oh!
Zach, you don't need a football. You need a football.
Very good.
I'm going to go with a football, and I'm going to be Matthew Sparks for a second.
All right.
Christian Brawley played more parts than Eddie Murphy did on The Nerdy Professor back in the mid-'90s on Friday night for Boyd County. The Lions won 70-21. Brawley had 6 touchdowns, which is a school record, and he did so by running, receiving, and returning kicks.
He was running.
Huge Christian Brawley.
Big win for Boyd to get off to 2-0. First time in a while, obviously, they've done that, and a good chance to get to 3-0 this week.
Yep.
We'll go with I'm Zack Klemme for this one. Step outside the realm of football, and of course I've been known to do this.
And inside a box.
Yes. Well, yeah, actually. Shannon Bailey, a defender for East Carter, had a big match this week with West Carter. Of course, the East had dominated them. West is a much newer program. East had dominated them the last several years until last year when West knocked them out in the district tournament, eliminated them early. And then earlier this season they played, East and West did, and it went all the way to penalty kicks. So West is you're starting to think West is making some strides and getting about even with them. So a big match this week. East comes out though and is able to take away West's speed and athleticism. A couple of guys, and Shannon Bailey is kind of the anchor of their defense back there, talking with some guys who are involved with their program. And they do something different that you don't see a whole lot, is they don't man mark people so much as they kind of play a zone, what you would call a zone in football or basketball, and Shannon Bailey's kind of the anchor there. And West's guys really kind of got a little bit frustrated toward the end of that game. Their body language was not good. They had a guy sent off with a red card, and kind of some bickering, and East really got in their head with the way they played defense, and Shannon Bailey was kind of the anchor of that defense back there of that effort.
All right, for the Raiders. Okay. Oh, nice boot.
Not toward the camera either.
You need to give this guy the rock, Ashland. A-Rock. Coburn. Game ball. He's a junior for the Tomcats. He had an incredible game on Friday night. I felt like every time he got the ball, he made things happen. He was just excited. He's like one of those good guitar solos that just starts off like it might just be part of the song, and then he starts ripping. That was A-Rock Coburn. Every time he got the ball, he was just zipping, zagging, whatever, and then he went to the end zone one time for a 67-yard score. He and Braxton Ratliff kind of carried that offense. They've got to get a little better up front, but they're still learning. There's a lot of inexperience up there and not a whole lot of size, but I see a lot of promise in Ashland, and it starts with guys like A-Rock Coburn.
Well, kind of a high-risk, high-reward motion you got flipping the ball there. It would have looked pretty dumb if you dropped it, but you made it work.
No, thank you.
Wrote a check you could cash.
That's right.
I like it.
3-point stance. Top 3 games. Let's go Ironton Russell first. Matthew was supposed to take this game, I think, so we'll both kind of tag team it. Russell coming off the 7-6 win that we just mentioned against Greenup County. Ironton coming off a 49-6 shellacking against Wheelersburg. How can the Fighting Tigers recover? Well, I don't think they've ever lost to Russell twice in a row.
Not to my knowledge.
So maybe they can keep that in mind, use that as a little extra juice, a little extra motivation this week, because they fell to them last year in a close game. Drew Boltnick had the big play last year, and I still don't know how to spell his name.
Bultynck.
Very nice. Can you spell Krzyzewski now? Just kidding. All right.
I think, but I don't want to make myself look stupid. I think it starts with a K and a Z, and then after that it's just alphabet soup. But
there's an R in there.
Yes, a few. But one of those things is that T.J. Maynard talked about this after the game. It's good for Russell to come out and get the win, but they need not be satisfied with how they did it. They've got a lot of work left to do. It was encouraging for them to see that they made the plays at the end when they had to, but they need to keep themselves from being in that situation. Obviously, Greenup County's defense had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But if Russell continues to work at it and continue to try to make progression, then that's certainly the path they need to be down. And obviously, Ironton will be hungry, come out and get punched in the mouth last week by their biggest rival, and now they obviously don't want to lose to another rival 2 years in a row. So it'll be big to see who kind of has the right mentality coming off of last week, because obviously both had a little bit left to be desired from last week.
You would think that Ironton might have the advantage up front, but I'm not sure after last
Right.
week.
Russell had a lot of new guys, and it was their first varsity game last week, and Greenup's still pretty stout up there, so it was a good test again for Russell in week 1, but Ironton typically has a size advantage there. Of course, they have Tyler Webb, so we'll kind of see how that plays out.
Paintsville at Pikeville. This could be a dandy. They split last year. Of course, Pikeville got the last laugh in the playoffs. Paintsville is a team that, obviously they're off to a strong start again, 2-0. But I think Pikeville's dealing with a little bit of injury, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, they are 2-0 as well. The Panthers are, despite having some issues. Kind of what we're hearing out of the mountains is as good as they were last year. They went out and they've acquired some other guys, and they are better maybe once they have all their pieces together.
We're starting to hear the same thing about Pikeville that we kind of hear about Belfry every year.
Yes.
Somehow they get better.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I've heard that again about Belfry, that as good as they were last year again, so how much of that is hype, or is the hype real, whatever.
Right,
that we'll find that outcome over the next few months. But one thing, a stat that I didn't know that you looked up, is that I believe Pikeville has won 26 of the last 28. Is that right? 29. Of course, 2 of those were big wins, 2 in a row there for Paintsville in the playoffs 2 years ago, and then the first game last year. But then they match up again in the playoffs. Cash Daniels out, injured, sat out, whatever it was exactly. And Paintsville had some issues kind of replacing just everything that Cash did for them on both sides of the ball. Kent Phelps stepped up, had a decent game, but they didn't get a whole lot from anybody else. And so that will be the key, is Paintsville able to get things from anybody other than Kent Phelps? He has 7 of their 13 touchdowns this year. So, of course, Darren Morris has stepped up in the passing game as a quarterback and also rushed the ball a little bit. James Allen has caught a touchdown pass, and they've got some other guys who are stepping up. It'll be a matter of, can they get some stuff from people other than Phelps, or otherwise Pikeville will probably be able to assert themselves again.
And finally, right here, Lawrence County at Fairview. Lawrence County coming off a 30-28 win over Montgomery County. That shocked me a little bit, to be honest with you. Jacob Wellman had a huge game, 166 yards on the ground and a couple touchdowns. Noah West is coming along quickly as a quarterback, as is Mason McIntyre as a quarterback for the Eagles. So some inexperience going in, some different looks for each of these teams, but I think it's going to be a very evenly matched game. You know, I don't think last year's score 40-14 will happen again. I really don't. I think it'll be a real close game. Probably should be tied all the way through for Lawrence County and Fairview.
Might be one of those games you don't want to show up late because you might miss the whole first half, because both of these teams are probably Lawrence has run the ball almost exclusively to this point. Fairview's running a little bit more than
they have. Yes.
This clock is probably going to be running a little bit. It's a good game to come in and see what should probably be a pretty well contested game.
That's right. Some other games I just want to mention real quick that didn't make the cut. Lex Cath and Johnson Central. Johnson Central coming off a 23-6 win over Capital, West Virginia. Ashland at George Washington. You're going to be there. That has been a 1-point game the last 2 years. A pretty wild one last year that went deep into the night. And then also Fleming and Greenup has a lot of intrigue.
That to me is really the most interesting out of the three, just because how does Greenup respond to, again, another kind of soul-crushing loss, and whereas Fleming has not been super tested their first couple of games. So how are they going to react to having a pretty good defense on the other side of the ball?
That's right. We are going to talk to Coach Fred Ray of the Fairview Eagles and bring in senior Bobby Miller. Here with Fairview coach Fred Ray here on Halftime Prep Talk. Thanks, Coach Ray, for letting us come down here.
Hey, no problem.
Of course, it's a nice warm day. Hopefully it cools down a little bit this weekend when Lawrence County comes in here.
That'd be real nice. You know, the past few weeks have been pretty hot going on the road, and hopefully it's a little cool for our home game.
First home game. How excited are you guys to get on the field here at Eagle Stadium?
We're pretty excited. You know, obviously past 2 weeks have been on the road, 2 tough road games, and it's good to be home for 2 in a row coming up.
Lawrence County was a game last year that didn't go so well for you guys. You know, it was actually probably one of your worst games, but you guys learned a lot, it seemed, from that game and played much better the rest of the season. How do you avoid kind of a repeat performance of, it was 40-14 last year?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, we were kind of on our high horse last year, beating Hazard the week before and being ranked in the top 10 in single weight, and going on the road to Lawrence County is a tough place to play. And, and I don't think we was very focused, and it showed in them dominating us down there. But we rebounded after that, and it's kind of learned as a program. We learned from that, and it's made us better.
Much different looking team though this year. You don't have a 6'5" quarterback, although Mason McIntyre does have some height. You don't have Alex Roy anymore. Obviously he's a walk-on at Marshall now. How did that kind of change up your offensive philosophy going into the season?
You know, 6'5" quarterbacks don't come around. I don't care what program you have too often. So, you know, obviously you got to make adjustments year to year, and obviously made some things offensively different from what we have been in the past. And obviously Mason's doing a good job for us, and he's learned a new position. He hasn't played it since middle school, so but he's doing a really good job for us.
Running the ball a lot more this year, so far anyway. Shane Cook has a couple 100-yard rushing games. Jonathan Ruggles as well, toting the ball pretty well back there. How well has the line done? We're going to talk to Bobby Miller here in just a little bit, but how well has the line done, especially dealing with some injuries up there too?
You know, the line has done a great job, especially in the offseason. They worked really hard, and it shows. We knew that we had a nice size line coming back. And unfortunately, like you said, coming up, we had some injuries, but it's part of the game. And Bobby's done a great job for us so far, leading up front. And you know, it's something that one of our strengths, hopefully, is the run game. That's what we focused on this year.
Only 32 guys on the roster. Don't let that fool you, though. The Fairview beat Bath County 46-6 in the first week, so it's more about you know, just the team effort so far than the numbers on the sideline, so to speak. But you know, going into the year, we only had 27. Going in our preview issue, and I know you said you've gained a few since then, but can you talk about how you've had to deal with that? You know, because the numbers have gone down a little bit. What's kind of the factor in that, you think?
You know, I'll be honest with you, I've done a statistical thing and looking around the single weight football. If you look around the whole state of Kentucky single weight, there's a lot of teams in the 30s and the high 20s, and there's not too many teams in the 40s and pluses. I mean, a handful of teams, you know. So we're kind of in a similar boat. There's a lot of single weight teams in the state. If you look at Frankfurt and even Paris, they're in the high 20s and low 30s. So it's not, you know, years past with teams here, you had a lot of numbers. But to be honest with you, it's kind of like where we should be in terms of numbers-wise for single-weight football. So it's just something we got to get used to. We're not used to that, but it's just going to come with the territory, I think.
What stands out about Lawrence County the most? I know they're a team that, you know, they did lose quite a bit from last year, but they are coming off a really nice win over Montgomery County. What stands out about them?
That's definitely a big win for them. Definitely, you know, nothing changed with Lawrence County. Definitely a physical ball club, nice size up front, always have good athletes, and they run what they run, you know. On the offense side of the ball, they love the quarterback keeping it, giving it to the fullback. That's what they do, and they've always done it the past few years. I played them, and defensively they fly around and they're physical. So, you know, Lawrence County's got a good brand of football down there.
Coach, you're not from here, but it seems like Fairview has really embraced you, and you've really embraced Fairview. It's a mutual thing. So how has that kind of happened, and you guys have kind of bonded that quickly and that closely?
I've been around here since pretty much 2009, so I've been around for a little while, and I've had a lot of good relationship with a lot of people here, and a lot of people still in our district. Obviously I work at the school, so nothing too much has changed. They've always embraced me, and it's been a good place here. All
right, the Eagles are 1-1. They're going to host Lawrence County on Friday night. Best of luck, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Back on HTP with Bobby Miller, senior lineman for the Fairview Eagles. Bobby, kind of talking with Coach Ray a little bit, one of the things about this team this year is that there's a few less numbers maybe than you guys have had in the past. You're playing a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense. What's that been like in terms of everybody's got to kind of step up their game a little bit more because there's fewer bodies to go around?
It kind of just leans on the seniors. Like, we have to all keep up with the young people. Like, they don't have as much experience as a couple of us, and they're working their way into it, and it's been steady right now, but we just got to keep it up for the rest of the season.
You guys were part of a record-setting pass offense here the last couple of years. Of course, the likes of Alex Roy, Antoine Washington, some of those guys have gone on to college, but you guys bring some other guys back, and you're running the ball a little bit now more with Jonathan Ruggles, Shane Cook, and some other guys. What's it been like to make that adjustment offensively?
We've been more dominant in the running game. I mean, obviously we don't have that quarterback anymore, but Mason's been doing pretty good for us. He's learning as he goes. I mean, he hasn't played it since middle school, but he's been doing pretty well so far, and hopefully we can keep it up. Hopefully we can even out the pass and run to where it's both dominant.
Of course, pass blocking and run blocking is very different mentality for offensive linemen. What's it been like to kind of get more into that, road grader and try to push people out of the way deal?
When we're run blocking, we just gotta our mentality is just fire off the ball and we just have to dominate. That's how we keep our running game up, to keep people off our running backs, obviously. And pass blocking, I mean, we just got to have Mason's back and just make sure nobody gets back to him. That's really about it for pass blocking.
Yeah. We've talked about this the last couple of years. You guys, of course, are in a pretty tough district, and that's a little ways off down the road yet. It's only getting ready to be week 3, but got Raceland and Paintsville both in there, 2 very good programs. Of course, you guys beat Raceland last year.
Yeah.
How much does that kind of help set the tone for trying to come in and be competitive in that district again?
I think it makes us both want it more. Like, whenever we play, I think it's going to be a really tough battle, probably the fourth quarter, both teams. I mean, they have a really tough senior class, both teams, what I know. And, I mean, we have a pretty good leadership senior class, so I think it'll both be really good games throughout the season. Yeah.
Of course, one of only a few seniors on this club. And what's it been like to step up and be one of those senior leaders this year?
It's been really fun. I mean, I've enjoyed it the whole way. Just being able to see younger kids, and from me being a senior, whenever I was in that situation, it's really nice, and I enjoy it a lot.
Interests off the field?
I like to go out and work, cut grass, and go out with my buddies and fish and stuff. So
yeah, no doubt. All right, well, fishing for a big one certainly on Friday. Thanks to Bobby Miller for joining us.
HTPT's 2 for the road. Zach, take it away.
Funny stuff.
You didn't see that one coming.
No, I did not. One of the things that kind of was the crazy things about last college football season was how many coaches, a couple of them big names in particular, who had been very good at their jobs, won a lot of football games, fell victim to the "what have you done for me lately," and they had a little bit of trouble. Mark Richt was forced out at Georgia. Les Miles was very nearly forced out at LSU, which was odd considering not only has the man won a national championship, but he had LSU ranked number 2 in the playoff rankings midseason, and they lost 3 in a row, and none of them were particularly close. So apparently the boosters got together and raised $15 million to try to buy him out. Didn't work out that way. LSU won their last game. He got a vote of confidence at that point, which is the timing of it was kind of interesting. But after that, you would be able to understand if the man was kind of not necessarily bitter, but just kind of more reticent as far as his role in the community. But been kind of a tumultuous offseason in Louisiana and in Baton Rouge. The shootings, of course, over the summer, a couple of noteworthy ones there, and then the flooding that's happened over the last month or so. And reading a feature on Les Miles and kind of his response to all this on ESPN.com earlier Wednesday, and one of the quotes he said is, "This is home." And it's kind of an interesting thing because Baton Rouge is not home originally to Les Miles. Played at Michigan and coached at other places before that, Oklahoma State, but just the way, been around about a dozen years now, and kind of woven himself into the fabric of the community. Of course, came in right after Katrina. I think that was his first game, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right.
Right after Katrina, and just the way that
05.
he's kind of in 2005 led that program. And the thing about it is that LSU has gotten to where they're used to winning national championships. They're used to being competitive there. They have not been able to beat Alabama the last 5 tries, and so that's kind of one of those things of what have you done for me lately? Well, you're not able to beat maybe one of the best guys who's ever done it before, then you're just kind of a victim of maybe bad timing.
Right.
But kudos to Les Miles and LSU for playing a real role in their community and trying to kind of heal the place up after everything that's gone on there in the offseason.
And you have some Louisiana roots too, don't you?
I do.
All right.
I do.
I'm gonna toss this ball aside. I don't need that.
Okay.
I don't need that for mine. I was fascinated the other night. I was watching some baseball on ESPN on Monday night. It was the Rangers and the Mariners, and I saw a sight that I had never seen before, not at the major league level anyway. Pat Venditti is a switch pitcher.
Yes.
He's ambidextrous. He throws right and left. He's 2-2 at the 4.58 ERA for the Mariners, and he was drafted, I believe, in 2008 by the Yankees organization. Spent some time in the A's organization as well. But I call myself a baseball aficionado, and I had never heard of this guy.
Really?
I had never heard of Pat Venditti. So that's all me. But Venditti, it was fascinating. I watched him strike out a batter with his right arm, and then with his left arm, he has a custom-made glove that he can switch and alternate. And he faced what was one of the funniest parts of the whole sequence was he faced Adrian Beltre, and Beltre decided to put his helmet on backwards just to kind of mess with his mind. See, because I read that with a pitcher that has that unique ability, they have to declare which arm they're going to throw with before the batter steps in the batter's box.
You know what that's called? The Pat Venditti rule.
The Pat Venditti rule.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's called the Pat Venditti rule. How do you know all this stuff and I don't?
Too much free time.
1986, I'm supposed to be the baseball guy. 1986, apparently Greg Harris was a guy that pitched from both sides, but he also was basically considered a right-hander and kind of taught himself to pitch left-handed. So he wasn't naturally ambidextrous. There were 4 guys in the 1800s that called themselves switch pitchers. But we got Pat Venditti. If you ever catch a Mariners game, I guess that's why I really didn't know about him, because you don't really catch Mariners game that often. Check him out. He's a relief pitcher. Kind of fascinating stuff.
Kind of the unique thing about him is too, he allows a team to save a roster spot because you've got a left-handed pitcher and a right-handed pitcher with him there. So,
no doubt.
You know, I'm kind of surprised really that more people haven't attempted to do. Obviously, you can't just teach yourself to throw 90 miles an hour with your off arm, but more guys that are maybe ambidextrous, you're seeing something where, you know, maybe a guy who's a lefty who doesn't even throw 85 can last till he's 42, pitch at the major league level if you can throw left-handed and put a little bit of spin on it. So maybe a career path for some, if anybody's ambidextrous out there, you might want to think about that being maybe a good way to pay for college or a boat or something.
Another amazing thing was he threw from different arm slots too. I thought that was interesting. Nick Duff was a guy at Rowan County several years ago, before you came here, that pitched from both sides.
Yeah. Wow.
Pitched left
Very
and right.
cool.
So, all right, we're going to close out.
I didn't know.
See, there you go. I know about Nick Duff.
Yes.
We're going to close out the show. Thank you to Fairview guests Fred Ray and Bobby Miller, and good luck to all the teams this weekend. For Matthew Sparks, who's not here, he'll be back next week. Zack Klemme, I'm Aaron Snyder. We should see you at Ashland. I'm going to go Pat Venditti. I'm going to go left with the paper throw.
Oh.
See you next week.